And hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create your own NPCs in RPG Builder from start to finish. You can of course use any model you want, either from the store or something you create yourself. And if you like our style, the one that I'm going to use for this video, we have many more animals like this. And the great news is that I actually released today the Stylized Forest Animal Bundle, which contains all our forest animals so far, and much more than you can actually see here, because they all come with around 10 color variations, and they have a total of 500 animations, and they also all have their own custom icons. So definitely check this out. Combining the launch discount and the discount coming from the bundle itself, you actually save $100 right now. So definitely a great time to grab it. But like I said, you can use any model you want. So that was just a side note. Now, how do we actually create an NPC in RPG Builder? Well, first of all, we will go under the AI section of the editor, of course. And here you can see all the AI modules that we have available to us. This really lets us customize them and do pretty much whatever we want with those. So I'm not going to cover every single thing in those ones, simply because they already have their own dedicated video on this channel. So if you haven't watched those yet, I highly suggest you to pause this current video, go to the YouTube channel and check the AI videos concerning those. It's very important that you watch this before watching this video, because I'm not going to explain how I create those and so on. But anyway, the first thing will be to create a preset. So a quick description of what an NPC preset is. It basically stores the visual appearance. So how is this NPC going to look, what animation is going to play, and so on. So here you can see that before recording the video, I prepared a spider NPC preset. And here we can see that it has the spider prefab in here, this one, which by the way, I don't need in this scene anymore. And we also have a spider animator. I also, of course, made sure to drag and drop the right avatar. So the avatar coming from the spider. Not all NPC models on the store have avatars, but if they do have one, make sure to drag and drop it here. And the very important part here is that you also, of course, like I said, to let RPG Builder know what animator should be used on this NPC. And this part is actually very, very easy in RPG Builder. So if you're not sure what you should do, like how do you create your own animator, etc., you don't really have to worry about this, because if you go under Blink, Tools, RPG Builder, NPCs, Animator, here you can see that I already provide you with a lot of them as examples coming from the RPG Builder's demo. So if I select the boar one, for example, which is called boar override, you can see that here we have the list of animations. So all animations that the boar actually has available to him in the demo as an NPC. And if we want to now create a spider NPC, I already did this, but I'm going to show you anyway. I can just Control D with one of those selected and call this my new NPC, or of course you can call this whatever you want. And here you can see that it still has the boar animations in there, of course, but let's say that you have your own NPC here and you go in the animation folder, you can now drag and drop all the animations to replace the boar one. So for example, here we have idle, I put it in idle, obviously, idle combat, and so on. You get the idea. And you do this for every single animation so that you make sure that once in game, this NPC is going to play his animation, not the boar animation, right? Because that's not going to look great, trust me. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but what if I want more than just a few attack animations? Or what if I want my own custom animations in there? That's very easy. So what you do here is you can click here and it will actually show you the animator. So as you can see, these are two different things. This is an animator override, which is basically a duplicate of an animator that we can see here. But basically this, an override lets you easily take this as some kind of template and simply override, so like replay the clips. So it's basically using the same logic, everything that's in there, but the clips itself, so for example, the walk animation, the attack extra is going to be different. And the great thing about using this system is that we can have one animator for unlimited amount of NPCs. We just replace the clip that they actually play. Anyway, now you might be wondering, like I said, how do I add my own in there? Well, you can easily add animation in there just like you would do in Unity in general. This is not an RPG Builder thing, right? This is a Unity system and feature. But what I would suggest you to do first is to actually duplicate the NPC animator so that now you can do whatever you want in this one and you don't have to worry about breaking the default one. So you can experiment, you can test whatever you want in there. And if for whatever reason you broke something and it doesn't work anymore, you still have the default one intact that you can use and learn from again. But anyway, let's call this one my animator. And here, let's say that now I wanted my spider to have many more attack animation. Let's drag and drop attack 6, 7, and 8, for example. Now, I'm not going to link them to parameters just yet, because again, these are Unity things, right? This is not an RPG Builder thing. So I highly suggest you to learn this on YouTube or online with documentations if you don't know how the animator system works in Unity. But anyway, here we added a few new animations. And if I now go back in the animator folder and look at my animator, right, and create a new override, or simply I can duplicate an existing one. So for example, I can duplicate the bar. And now instead of NPC animator, I'm going to drag and drop my animator. And as you can see here, now it was as simple as this. We now have access to those new animation slots. Of course, the name that you see here is not the name of a parameter. It's actually the name of the clip itself. So yeah, in case you needed this information. Now, one last thing I wanted to say concerning animator with NPCs. If we select one, let me check. You can see that we have the root animation here. And this is basically the default animation whenever it's not playing anything. So in here, what I do usually is drag and drop the idle combat. You can drag the idle one also if you want, but the idle combat usually tends to flow better with RPG Builder's AI logic when you put it in roots. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to cover. I got off topic a lot because in this video I already covered a lot of things which are not related to RPG Builder, but which are Unity systems that you will use even without RPG Builder. But it was important because I know a lot of people are new to Unity and RPG Builder, and sometimes they need help with this. Anyway, so the next thing after creating the NPC preset, we of course will want some abilities, right, that our NPC is going to use. So we want some abilities for the spider. So again, this time I'm going to pause the recording, and after I'm done with this part, I'm going to explain to you what I did just as a recap so that the video is not too long. So here I quickly created a spider attack ability. Instead of being an auto target ability, I made it a con so that we can actually dodge it as a player. Or for example, if the spider was pet, the enemies could be able to dodge it. And it will apply a simple spider attack effect, which is of type damage, and it will play an animation on start. Now, if we look at the effect, nothing too special. Like I said, spider attack, it's instant damage, type magical. I made it to be of type darkness damage just for fun, and it will play a blood hit particle effect when it's actually hitting. That's all. Now, the next step is actually assigning this ability to our new NPC, right? So in this case, we will need to create a phase abilities template, and I'm going to call this spider. I'm going to add an ability, and here we can just select the spider attack. Now, this specific one is going to be very simple because when I attach this to the NPC, based on the settings, they will have this ability by default. But if we wanted to, we could limit the amount of ability. So we could have random, like a list of abilities, maybe 10, and the NPC will pick 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you want from this list. And they could even have chances individually to be picked. So you could have, for example, very rare abilities that NPCs can only have very, very rarely. So for example, to make some bosses very unique and so on. You can even limit how many times an ability can be used by an NPC. So this is a lot of settings that are explained in the dedicated videos, which I'm not going to cover, like I said, too in depth, but I just wanted to let you know that all of this is possible, and yeah, you have full freedom over those things, and there are a lot of cool things you can do. Now, the phase abilities part is done, so our NPC is basically ready to attack us, and he will be able to damage us with this. And now we will want to create a behavior for this spider. So here you can see that we have bear, boss, boar, etc. I could actually use the boar one if we wanted to, and I might do it, but I'm actually just going to duplicate it so that we can customize it a little bit for the spider. So I'm going to call this spider, and I'm going to tweak a few settings and come back to you in the recording. Okay, so what I did basically is not much. It's mainly the same kind of behavior than the bar in this case, but you can of course choose your custom AI states and so on. Again, this is explained in the dedicated videos. But so I renamed it spider. I removed the flee state, so this spider cannot flee anymore. The bar can, but the spider cannot. And I just assigned the spider phase abilities here. So that's pretty much all we needed to do. Now I can save. And lastly, now that we created the appearance of the NPC, now that we created the abilities that this NPC can have, and now that we created a behavior, so the way this NPC should move, attack, and so on, we will create a phase. We could have as many phases as we want per NPC, but in this case, it's just going to be a normal mob, so it's only going to have pretty much, one default phase. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new phase called spider. And I'm going to add a potential behavior. I'm going to add my spider behavior that I just added, and that's it. We can just hit save. I'm actually going to put the transition at 0 because in this case, I don't want any transition time for this phase. But this could be useful from one phase to another if you wanted the transition to take maybe 5 seconds so that the NPC can play an animation or trigger some particles around him, to just make it look cooler. And that's it. So now we created all the kind of separated part, right? Separated functions of these NPCs. And now we need to put those things together. So the way we do this is actually in the first module of the AI section. And we now finally create our own actual NPC, which is going to combine all these things. So I'm going to call it spider. You can, of course, call it whatever you want. I'm going to assign our icon here. And here I'm going to find the default AI template. As you can see, you have this button if this is empty. So you can either do this or you can create your own prefab. Here I'm actually going to show you that. So this is just the base game object prefab that's going to be used for this NPC. Now this is very useful because if you wanted some custom components, so script or anything, any kind of component on your NPC as the parent, you could go here and basically duplicate this and attach all your components that you want in here, and then you can just drag and drop this here, and that's what is going to be used for your NPC. But in this case, I'm going to use the default one. And like I said, it's going to have one phase, so the phase is going to be the spider phase, and the preset, the spider preset. That's it. We could have as many phases as we want. Each phase could have its own appearance, so your NPC could change the way it looks, it could change its animation, its size, everything you want, and even its behavior, abilities, and so on. So all the things we just created are phase specific, right? Meaning that you have full freedom over what these are based on the current phase of this NPC. But like I said, we were going to keep it simple and do one phase only. Now, next we have a lot of kind of checkbox here, which will define some functions for this NPC. So here we have training dummy. If you have this on, you can't kill this NPC. It's basically going to get back to full HP when it's at 0 health. Can it have combat enabled? In this case, yes. Is it a merchant? Is it going to give some quests? Is it going to have some dialogues? And based on that, you can see that we now have different things here: merchant table, quest given, dialogue, etc. And this will disappear if I turn this off. So that's how you create your kind of like friendly NPCs, right? Can this NPC be targeted? Sure. Will it have a can it be interacted with? In this case, I can actually turn this off because it won't be interactable as, for example, like a quest giver or something. This lets you decide if you want or not to show the nameplate. So I want it on, and movement enabled. And lastly, should it have collision enabled? Yes or no? I leave those off usually. Now we need a faction. So I'm going to make it animals. In this case, animals are neutral in the demo and beasts are enemies. And this is just so that I can spawn it without it attacking me immediately. So we can actually look at it, kind of roaming, etc. It doesn't need a species. We can leave this empty, but you can have one if you want. We can choose if it's scaling its level with a player or not. In this case, I'm just going to put it maybe between level 5 and 6. Should the phase be reset after combat? So what we can see here. So for example, you go in combat, then the NPC goes to phase 2, phase 3, and so on. Should this go back to phase 1 after combat, or should the NPC stay in its current phase? This is where you decide. And instantly heal, this is if you want the NPC to get all his health back instantly after a fight, so when it gets out of combat, or do you want it to slowly regen based on your, like health regen settings? Here we have some cool things. So aggro links. This lets you set up this NPC in a way that if you attack it, if you damage it, for example, it will try to get help from nearby NPCs, but not any random NPC. You basically define what NPCs can come to help this one, right? So here you can select any of your other NPCs, and you can even select the max distance, for example, 25-meter max from the NPC you attack. And secondly, you also have an option for family. And this is not something I covered yet, but basically, let me save this. It's probably okay. Now we have the spider, and if we go to families, there are no existing ones just yet. But this, for example, you could create we could create a family called spider, right? Use an icon, maybe this one. Save, and now we could assign the spider family to, for example, all our spider NPCs. And now we can say that instead of like manually adding, all our spider NPC one by one, we could simply go here to family, spider, 25 meters, and save. And I'm actually going to leave this on, and in the video later I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to spawn multiple spiders, and I'm going to attack one, and you're going to see that the other spiders are going to help it. But for this we need to attach a family here, which we didn't yet. So now we can assign spider, and that's it. So next we have the respawn settings. So when this is spawned from an NPC spawner, how long does it take for it to respawn? So for example, 1 to 100 seconds, whatever you want, maybe let's say 5 to 10. And how long should the corpse stay on the ground? Again, RPG Builder is always about giving you full freedom, right? So maybe let's say 5 seconds. Now, rewards. If you don't feel anything in the loot bag prefab, it's completely fine. It's going to use the default one, which is in the settings. But you could, if you wanted to, have your custom loot prefab, the appearance of the loot in the world for each of your NPCs. So for example, bosses or very rare NPC could have a different looking loot bag. Here's the duration of the loot bag. Here you can choose how much experience you're going to get for your character when you kill one of those NPC, right? You can choose how much extra experience is going to be given per level. So if we put 5 here, it's basically going to be 5 extra experience for each NPC level. So if this spider is level 5, we're going to get 25 extra experience. This is an easy way to scale experience. And here you also have options to gain more or less experience based on your level compared to the level of the NPC. So for example, we could have something like 20% here, so minus 20%. What this means is that for each level of your character that is higher than the NPC's level, we're going to get minus 20% XP. So technically, if you're 5 level higher than this NPC, you no longer gain experience when you kill it. And here you could very easily add faction rewards. So for example, when we kill the spider, we could get some faction reward to maybe humans or something who really don't like spider, things like this. And factions in RPG builders are fully dynamic. So based on who you attack and kill in the world, you could become friendly or enemy with certain factions in your world. Now we have loot tables. This could be anything, of course, your own loot tables. You can add as many as you want, and each loot table can even have its own chance to drop. And lastly, here we have the stats section. So here you can add stats on top of the default one. So everything, so the player and the NPC, they all have all the stats that you created. But let's say that this spider should have a custom amount of intellect, for example. So I'm going to go ahead, select intellect, and now we have a lot of options available to us. We could say that this spider starts with an extra 5 intellect, right? And it could even have +2 intellect per level. So again, the level is a very, very easy way for you to scale your game. So here, this value here is really going to define how strong your NPC is, the kind of rewards that it gives, and so on. You could, of course, make this bonus a percentage, and you could even override the minimum or the maximum value if you wanted to. And you can even choose at what percentage will this start at. So this is for vitality stats. And you can actually even have a random chance to add some stats. So let's say, let's say something more interesting, lifesteal. I could say that this spider has a, let's say, 22% chance to have 15% lifesteal when spawned. Or we could also make it 100, whatever we want, right? So, like I said, let's keep it a bit simple for this video. It's already more than 20 minutes long, but there are a lot of things to explain. But anyway, now let's do a quick recap. So we created a new preset, which was our NPC appearance, the animations, etc. I created some new abilities, right? So here we have the spider attack. I assigned the spider attack in the phase ability template here. Then we created a phase. So for the spider, this phase has a behavior in there, and we made a custom behavior called spider with all the states that we want the spider to have, chase, roaming, and so on. And we also assigned the abilities template that this NPC can have. And at the end, we created the actual NPC. We set its icon, its name, so the visible name to the player here, the display name. And here we assign that this was of a family spider, and so on. Here we assign the phase, the appearance, and we chose a lot of settings. Cool. Now I'm going to actually just end this video right here. And I know you probably wanted to see it in game, but I'm going to show you in the next video how to actually spawn your NPC. So this video is going to be about NPC spawners. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.